Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I do want to give a little bit of a warning this morning. I'm not sure how long this show will last this particular day, just because I do have some internet issues, and I'm actually having to run my desktop off of my cell phone for internet connection. So if something happens with my hotspot and stuff like that, the show might not be that great today. So I do apologize to anybody in advance. But anyways, before we get into all that, couple things you guys know I got to do to get this show going. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Trying to make that final push to get to 4,800 and then 5,000. If you're enjoying the video, also don't be afraid to hit the thumbs up button. Really helps the channel out a lot. Lastly, if you have ever considered buying or selling property in the state of Michigan, give me a call, shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. You can get a hold of me and let me use over 30 years of service towards helping you buy or sell property in the state of Michigan or other states as well. You can give me a call and I can offer some advice, but I'll do everything I can to help save you money while putting a smile on your face. And going into the holidays, I'm sure everybody likes to save a little bit of cash. All right, now we got a couple things, as you guys could see from the thumbnail. I do want to give full credit and disclosures out of the Detroit Wxyt. They had a report yesterday, and it's kind of piggybacks off something I reported a few weeks ago that James Houston, CJ Gardner-Johnson were coming back a little bit sooner than anticipated, maybe, or at least maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe they'll just reword this. They're looking like they're going to be able to return this season. I know we'd had some hopes last week that maybe they'd be able to start the comeback clock on James Houston and CJ Gardner-Johnson. And I just want to reiterate, because I know a couple of you had questions about it, whenever they return them to practice, if they start the quote-unquote 21-day clock, they don't have to wait all 21 days to put you out on the field. They could say day 3, day 4, day 5. Yeah, you know what? We're good. We've seen enough. We're going ahead and put you out there. But most teams do use all 21 days in certain situations just so they can have an extra person on the roster for as long as they possibly can. All right, so with all that out of the way, let's get moving and shaking in the comment section, because I saw early it was going. All right, Boo, what do you got? Good morning, Duke Crew. Good morning to you too. Hopefully having a good one. Trump, due morning, and a due morning it is. Phil, lime green morning to y'all. I like that one, Phil. That's good. DeVito, yeah, on a completely different side note, this Tony DeVito guy, I mean, man, have you guys seen some of the reports on him and his family, cooking for 300 people before the Monday Night Football game out in the parking lot, and the fact that he stays with his mom, his dad, his agent looks like he's right out of a mobster movie. I mean, it's just awesome. I'm not gonna lie, man. When I'm not watching the Lions, I might be cheering on the Giants just because this is such an awesome story. It's just kind of fun to pay attention to. Brother Ken, good morning. Coach Dan, good morning, family. Good morning to you guys. So, and hopefully having a good one, Ken. Phil, greetings and salutations to the crew. Same to you. Jesse, what do you got? Top of the morning, all. Hey, Coach, when you get a chance to check this kid from Illinois out, DT Jerron Newton, OMG, put him next to Hutch, a real problem. You know what? I'll check him out. Just so you guys know, I did start work on a mock draft, or whatever you want to call it. Trying to debate if I'm going to limit to 4 rounds to try to go full 7 rounds for you guys. I'm going to try to put that video out this week. So understand, it's a mock draft. It's a real early mock draft. So there's a lot of things that could be moving and shaking in it. I will say, at least for my initial mock and trying to plan things out, I have the Lions actually taking an offensive lineman in the first round after they, early second round after they traded back. So I don't know if I'll include trades, but I'll try to get that out to everybody this week. All right, Bit Lady, good morning, Coach. Good morning to you. Hopefully you're having a good evening where you're at. Southwest Dan, Goff Lions need to make opposing defenses defend the whole field. I would concur because they're not throwing deep. Defenses are loading the box. Yes, they are. Clogging the middle and taking away the short intermediate routes. Yeah, Southwest, this is something we've been chatting about, I'd say, a couple weeks now. It started with the Bears. It went on to the Packers, and everybody's done it ever since then. So you got to make people try to cover the whole field, and they're not doing that. All right, give us the update on CD2 and Houston, coach. So Campbell, let me see if I can pull it up here. And again, I don't want to credit this as something I came up with from somebody, but I am giving full credit to WXYT Radio. And, basically they just had a brief snippet. Saw it early this morning when I was going through some stuff, getting things done for coaching standpoints and then getting ready for the show. But anyways, you probably saw in the thumbnail, Campbell says in regards to CJ Gardner-Johnson, that he's, quote, kicked it into overdrive. He's healed quick and is healing quick, Campbell said. Most of it's going to be about is his body ready? CJ Gardner-Johnson, that is. Will he be able to do it without re-injuring? Is it sustainable? Strong enough? Question mark. I know this. He's taken off, but we'll see. Probably the same timeline. If there's a chance, it will be late December, probably. And that he does say that's the same timetable. Campbell said a similar timetable for Houston. So we'll see what happens. But, this basically goes in conjunction what we reported here on Lions Talk Live about 2 weeks ago or so, that it was looking like Houston would be able to come back on obviously this Saturday's game, which I'm saying at this point probably doesn't look like it would happen, or roughly between that or the first Minnesota game. So somewhere in that time frame, who knows, maybe it goes back another week. But let's also keep in mind that I was told that CJ Gardner-Johnson was given a deadline of basically the Cowboys game for his return. So Campbell says both guys, according to this report, and again, not my report, but I am giving full credit, which, a good journalist should do, to WXYT Radio. So if we can go with what Campbell says in regards to both guys, it does sound like they've made strong progress, and that Campbell, from his verbiage and such, seems fairly optimistic, especially in regards to CJ Gardner-Johnson. So could both these guys be back, say, the last week of the regular season or the Cowboys game? That does sound like a real strong possibility. And I think we can all agree, Bit Lady, that this would be a big plus, because these two guys would add, if nothing else, more depth to the team, a little bit playmaking ability, and a defense that's struggling for sure could use some guys back on the field. Also, we've got 1 week without Aleem McNeil already. So doing the math in my head, that'd be about the same time where potentially Aleem McNeil could return. So if you get those three guys back, the defense starts looking a little bit healthier, a little bit better, a little bit more depth going into the playoffs. All right, Brother Ken, Dan, Broncos fans here are saying the Broncos are going into the Lions Den and giving the Lions a first-class butt kicking. And I did see when I was, like I said, doing some stuff this morning, getting ready for the show, I did see that Dan Campbell gave full credit that they're anticipating the Broncos and their coaching staff are going to come in here trying to give them a butt whooping. So I get it. But really, that's probably the expectation of every team, that they should come out looking to go ahead and win a game by 40 points. I mean, nobody wants to play down to the last seconds. If they can, they're coming after them. Jesse, what do you got? Southwest Lion, Goff can't throw deep. That's the reason Ben hasn't opened up the playbook. It is a big question, isn't it? Because last year we did see Goff take some deep shots. And I kind of mentioned that yesterday. The one that jumps out to me the most is the deep shot against, I want to say it was the Giants, where he hits Khalif Raymond. And that ball hums in the cold, outdoors, 40 yards in the air. I'm not paying attention to, hey, you throw a 5-yard out and the guy takes off for 20, 30 yards, because that's not arm talent there. That's route running and receiver talent, or whoever caught the ball. So I think they do need to try to open up, especially since the rest of this year every game's indoor. It's as ideal a situation for Goff and the offense it could be. But A, you got to get some more pressure on the defense to cover the field, and B, you need to get them off those short intermediate routes. So give them something to think about. All right, Trump, what do you got? Good morning, dude. Oh, boy, here we go. Good morning to you, too. All right, Southwest Line. J-Mo has elite speed. It's hard for me to imagine that he was not open several times in that against the Bears. They need to figure out a way to get him the ball on reversals or in the air. Screen passes, quick outs with, open field, deep post routes, fly patterns, streaks, whatever you want to say, man. They do need to incorporate this kid more and more, because he's got elite speed. he is a playmaker if you can get him the ball. He has improved. And to everybody's point, you got everybody in their mother on defense playing these short intermediate routes, daring you to take them deep. And we're not doing it. All right, Dr. Detroit beat you again, Don B. All right, fair enough. All right, Southwest Jesse, if he had some sort of injury preventing him for throwing off more than 20 yards, then that's a problem. Otherwise, yeah, if Goff can't throw it more than 20 yards, I mean, that for an NFL quarterback, you should be able to do 20, 30 yards. I would think at least 40 yards. Beyond that, I get, you do have to have a bit of a cannon, but you got to find ways to get Jameson Williams or Khalif Raymond or Josh Reynolds on some of these deeper patterns. It's not that St. Brown can do it. It's just I don't think that's really a strength of his wheelhouse. All right, Phil, what do you got? Lions don't seem to know what to do with their own players. How does that change? Get to know your players better. But at this point in the year, and the fact that the majority of these players have been around now 2 years, Ben Johnson should know their strengths and weaknesses and how to design for them. If he still hasn't, then that's on Ben Johnson. It's not on the players or anybody else. Bill, what do you got? Good morning, all. Let's win Saturday. Yeah, I would say better than a loss any day. So, yeah, let's go out and get that win. It is possible that, Green Bay or Minnesota could lose this weekend. So if we win and they lose, man, that's going to look pretty good. Brother Ken, people in the sports bar here in Detroit are talking major stuff. They believe we're frauds. I've heard that from a lot. And it seems like a growing thing. Miami lost to whoever they lost to last week. That only had 4 wins, I think. Detroit lost to Chicago. It happens in the NFL. Dallas, who's now considered one of the best teams in the league. You guys heard me say it before. They've lost to the Cardinals early in the year. The 49ers went through a stretch where they lost 3 games. It happens. Yes, the Lions are not playing great football, I guess you could say, for about 6 weeks now. It happens. But if they can right the ship and get a little bit healthier, then this isn't, in my opinion, the rebuild on this team isn't done. They've done a pretty good job with stuff, and they've won a ton of close games this year. That helps things. But they're going to have to find some ways to get a little bit more creative on offense and defense, hit a few more wins here. If they can do that, finish 11, 12 wins on the year, then you know what? I think we all have got to look at it from a grander perspective and not just say, man, we could have been the number 1 seed or number 2 seed. Look at it and say, hey, this rebuild is still happening. The future looks pretty bright for this franchise. There might still be some tweaking to do in the offseason, but I'm going to also be fair. If you're a good franchise, you're doing tweaking every offseason, every in-season. I mean, you're doing it all the time. You're always scanning and looking for ways to improve your team. If you're not, that's a real tell. All right, Phil, Brad Holmes has nothing to say about his team. Why? Who knows? Maybe there's, there's no hot take. There's nothing he wants to go on the record and put on out there right now. Right now, it's status quo. Let things be where they are. Worry about that stuff from him in the offseason. All right, Bit Lady, Brother Ken, maybe they are smoking the wrong mushrooms. That is always a possibility. Possible. Quentin, Detroit needs to finish this season strong. I would agree. Yeah, if I would even say this, they go 500 in these last 4 games. I'll take that. 11-win season, get the division. Hey, it's not probably the ideal ending we all wanted, but you know what? 11 wins going into the start of this year, I think most of us would have been happy with it. Even more so if it means you won the North and are hosting a playoff game. Phil, years of disappointment have made Lions fans ready for the collapse. Yeah, and it's PTSD, 100%, Phil, for all of us. Any close game, things aren't going well. We've seen that show so many times. It's built into our psyche, and I do believe it's changing, but it doesn't mean this team's perfect. All right, so good morning, everyone. Just wanted to say that I like very much Dan Campbell. The way he, as a man, clean, on set, straightforward, and so forth. The way he's making decisions, he is all expected now. I'll say this, Silver Surfer. I think he's maturing as a coach. I think all the coaching staff is gaining a lot of valuable experience. Gonna have to try to finish some things out, though. So gonna have to try to find ways to overcome some situations here, because let's be honest, each of these games are winnable. Each of them are losable. And hey, like I've already said on the show this today, we get a few more wins here. We're going to be, I think we should be pretty happy with the season as a whole. All right. What do you got, Brother Ken? Bit later, they're smoking some stuff. You're right. Oh boy, here we go. Southwest, Jesse, put it this way. Not getting JMO more involved in the game is a problem, and the same for not throwing deep. You're making it too easy for the opposing teams by not stretching the field. Yeah, they've got to stretch the field, 100%. Angie, the Go Lions, 9-4 is respectable. Win on Saturday and then go from there. Don't give up on the Lions, guys. Yeah, it's almost like we reacted like somehow it's a big insult to be 9-4. Like it is the end of the world. But like we've talked about on the show with you guys, other people have pointed out, look around the NFL. How many teams will they have a better record than us? There ain't many. So that means the vast majority are beneath us. And I'm just not sure the panic. He lost the Bears. So what? It's an NFL team. Every NFL team that I'm seeing out there has the ability to win. Whether or not they're going to win is a different story. But it's a cumulative effect. I'm guessing most of this is just because we are Lions fans, and for 60 years we've been put through the ringers. All right, Jason, what do you got? If you woke up from a coma and read QB stats, you would not be worried. Let's get perspective. Goff's book of work this season has been solid. Yeah, overall, yeah. His trend, obviously, the last month hasn't been so great, but that doesn't mean you should forget everything he's done earlier in the season either. Good point. Jason, Goff leads Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts in completion percentage, yards, and QB rating. The sky's not falling yet. Yeah, he's got to right the ship a little bit, and some of that's on the coaching staff, the offensive line. There's a cumulative effect of things that need to come into play. But I get your point. Phil, we can speculate all we want. The coaches will do what they do. Yes, that's ultimately what they do. I concur. All right, Eduardo, Denver not only leads the league in takeaways, they lead the NFL in fumbles since week 6. It could get ugly fast with Mr. Goff. It could be, yeah. The Lions and the coaching staff, the players, coaching staff, they all got to come in and say, hey, we're going to counter what they're doing here with that. And they got to have a game plan. Don, we got greetings and salutations. Same to you. All right. Silver Surfer, Dan C. It is not surprising anyone anymore. Field goals have been abolished from our game. JMO is one of the most underused players in the Genius Johnson. Yeah, I would agree that some of what our tendencies had been last year and this year, people have picked up on them, and that's what coaches do. They do pick up on things. They evolve. They improve. All that comes into play. And Jameson Williams, I know Campbell's talked this week and after last weekend's game that they've got to get him more involved, and I agree. He's a weapon, but he's a weapon that really isn't being utilized a ton yet. All right, Brother Ken, what do you got? Dan, what about the Lions try a 4-2-5 defense? 4-man rush, 2 backers, and 5 DBs. Think about it. I think they probably will do some of that. I get they do that on some downs anyways, but will it be their base? That I don't know. I'm trying to think who the 5 DBs would be because I get everybody does not want Jerry Jacobs out there too much, but that's also going to be part of the problem. Who all do you have that's going to be out there and covering? I like the idea of the 4-2-5, but the coaching staff's going to have to say, all right, we're going to put some faith in some guys here. Right now, I would say the strength of the defense, as crazy it may be, might be the linebackers. But the other problem with that is on passing downs, do you really want to put 3 or 4 backers out there covering? Probably not. So they're in a tough spot for sure. Jesse, what do you got? Going to be a game on Saturday. Yes, it is. And I think it's going to be one with a lot of points. Eduardo, what do you got? The whole JMO thing is ridiculous, man. DC says we'll get him more involved every week. And every week, dude is lucky to get 2 targets. Yeah, I agree with you. It's been a couple weeks now that MCDC has been sputtering that. And yet Jameson's been more or less, he has been used a ton. All right, Trump, what do you got? Our kicker misses extra points. Why try a field goal? He has in recent weeks. Riley Patterson missed a couple of gimmies. So we'll see what they elect to do. Maybe they'll just cut Patterson and not have a field goal kicker. It could happen. Dennis, good morning. Good morning to you. John Snow, good morning to you too. All right, Jesse, what do you got? I feel real bad for JMO. I really do. He's working his butt off in practice and doing everything he's asked to, but still no targets. At this point, just trade him. Don't want his talent wasted this way. Yeah, they took him for a reason. Obviously, they traded up to get him. They saw the potential and such, but you've got to, if he doesn't get the ball, if he's not even targeted, then really the teams really have to worry about him. That's one of the things I've been kind of preaching for a while is, man, open up the playbook, especially early in games. When we're at the Saints and we have a 21-point lead, man, that's as perfect a time to unleash some deep shots to him as possible because, one, the rules favor you so much in the NFL. Two, unless you think, Goff just can't throw those passes, why wouldn't you? Your risk to reward at that point is about zero. All right, Phil, what do you got, brother Ken? Isn't that the defense the Lions are running? At times, yeah, at times. Eduardo, I guarantee you that if JMO was in San Fran, LA, Miami, he'd be close to 100K yards right now. I think there's probably a level of truth to that, for sure. Southwest, I would have Gibbs go deep in pass patterns at least 1 or 2 times a quarter. He also has elite speed. He does. I'm trying to think how they would, I guess they could wheel him out or out of the backfield or just, motion him out. And maybe if he got a coverage from a linebacker, yeah, you should absolutely be taking deep shots with him. Eduardo, what do you got? If on Saturday I don't see a deep target with JMO early in the first drive, then I know nothing has changed. That's probably a fair assessment right there. Brother Ken, Lions fans, please raise the hell at Ford Field. These weed smoking Denverites are driving me crazy. I'll see what I can do to put the word out there. But yeah, everybody in here, if you can, help Brother Ken out. All right, Doug Laporte, good morning. Good morning to you too. Silver Server, Lions curse team. I will not believe it until I see it. Another team would have won 4 Super Bowls with Barry Sanders in the lineup for 10 years and always healthy. But I was happy when he had a good game. Yeah, it was always fun watching Barry. He will forever be loved in Detroit. Eduardo, if we aren't going to, excuse me, guys, had he on there. If we aren't going to use him, why pick him so high? I'm assuming you mean JMO. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we've heard about development. He needs to be there, timing, trust, all that stuff. But I can imagine Lions fans everywhere right now at this point can say, yeah, we can see the potential with this kid. We're no longer, yeah, he was a bust or this or that or whatever. He's proven himself, at least in my opinion. All right, Phil, good morning to Jen. Good morning to her. I'll let her know that you're saying that. What you got? Southwest, not using JMO more is a waste. I think viewing all the 22 film will show us how often he's getting open. Yeah, if you watch the game film, you'll see him out there. And, yeah, he's got some openings. They've got some ability to take some shots to him. They just, for whatever reason, have not as much. All right, Eduardo, what do you got? Looking back at Chicago tape, it is ridiculous that Hutch had Fields wrapped up twice and Fields escaped and ran off for 30 yards. Hutch needs to be better. Yeah, he does. Yeah, 100%. There's a couple times he got in the backfield, and, yeah, you got to finish it. You can get pressure all day, but if you're not finishing the play, it doesn't really matter. Bosky, what do you got? Silver Surfer agreed? Okay. All right, Scott, good morning. MCDC and International 2 crew. From the Canadian Lions fan. Hopefully having a good one, man. Hump day is here. Time to put the stink for last week's game in the rear view and focus on beating the Broncos. Let's go Lions. Absolutely. I like the way you're thinking. Eduardo, I wouldn't be surprised if Lions played their best game of the season against Dallas. I think that would be very Lions-esque, especially if they could pull out the win. That would be unforeseen, and that would be the Lions' history. All right, what do you got? The Southwest Lion. I was watching replay of Rams game with the Ravens earlier this morning. Rams are playing some good football. They easily could have won that game. They were blitzing Jackson. It was effective. Yeah, and I haven't watched that game, to be fair, Southwest Lions. So, I'm going to imagine if we were to play the Ravens again, a lot of teams are going to look at views of teams that were effective against them and try to pick up on some of those. So good call on your point. All right, what do you got? A consideration should be made to trade Amaran for a first and second. It's not feasible to keep him at more than 100 million. There are faster, bigger, and stronger wide receivers coming out of college. I think we still got another year on his contract, don't we? Maybe I'm not thinking of it this morning correctly, but I think we still got him for another year, and then who knows at that point. So I wouldn't be in a hurry to trade for him or trade him, but if somebody's going to give you the right package, man, everybody's got a price. Broski, Eduardo O'Neill agreed Hutch needs to hit the weight room. Yeah, he needs to finish up. And I get Justin Fields is a very powerful athlete. But at the same time, part of your job when you're Hutch is getting guys onto the turf. So you got to finish it off. All right, Don Kong, Super Bowl bust. Same. Hopefully you're having a good morning, buddy. Just win, baby. Just win. Yes, I concur. All right, Jesse, I'm so tired of MCDC and Ben Johnson saying they're going to get him involved. He has to earn it. Evidently, he's doing what they are asking from him. His usage percentage on the field is at 60%, but no targets. Come on. Yeah, we've got to figure this out because I do think he would jumpstart this offense, or at least add another layer that teams have to account for. You know, Goff, I get he's got trust in Laporta, St. Brown, Josh Reynolds, but come on, man. I mean, at some point, unless we're all just missing something on tape, this kid's getting open. He has evolved. He's no longer Drops McGee. He's improved. So yeah, get him the ball. Broski, what do you got to learn how to spell DeVito? Yeah, it happens, man. I mean, hey, I misspell my own name sometimes. So, hey, things happen. Doug, if any QB, DeVito included, as a perfect well, they can do well. It's just I would say the crazy part with him, other than the story, all the background, his family, all that stuff. Look at what he did that, Monday night. Completed 80% of his passes, ran for, I think it was like 70 or 80 yards, no turnovers, no sacks. I mean, that's impressive stuff. And it's just crazy. I get he's the hot topic, the lightning rod or whatever, but bravo to that kid, man, because you know what? That's something him and his family are going to remember forever. And just, I don't know if he'll ever get to do it again at that level, but you know what? For that one game, he was the man. Give him some props. Trump, bad news bears is here. It happens, man. See what you did there, though, Trump. Tommy DeVito mania is taking over. What's not to like about that kid and his family? Yeah, I mean, it's awesome, man. The stuff with his family, him living at home, with his parents, the whole shebang and bang. I mean, that picture of his agent, him talking on the sidelines after the game, I mean, that's legendary, at least to me, man. But anyways, Eduardo, Saturday scares me. If they it can get very ugly, very bad. This team has lost all my confidence. I get it, man, and you have every right to be there, man. Based on the Lions' history, all that, the way they've been performing for 2 months. I mean, who doesn't have some PTSD with this team? I get it big time. But you know what? The Lions got to go out there and get it done. It doesn't matter what you and I or anybody else think, whatever the past was. It's got to live in the moment and the now. It can't change the past, but hopefully you go out there and get it done. Brett, we got good morning, Coach and Duke crew. I heard that Montgomery only had 1 snap in the third quarter. Do you think that is a big reason we stunk? Man, they really got away from the run in this second half, and I'm not sure why. I will say this. I am a fan of running play action on first down just because that's about it. To me, as ideal a moment to run play action as possible. The only problem is if you don't get anything out of it, now on second down, you're at second and 10 or whatever, and it just makes it real hard to run consistently. So they're in a tough spot. I do think they've kind of gotten very predictable on offense. And, this is not new. Been saying it for a while on here. And I think they've got to try to right the ship. They've got to just, roll the dice, and basically every play, not be so predictable, try to be helter-skelter. And you know what? They get that done, though. Then you'll fix the offense. And they got to get Williams involved. Trump's a genius. So here, Broski will be gone after Bears lose this week. That could be true. Broski, Tommy DeVito equals Jeremy Lin 2.0. Maybe, man, but you know what? At least now at this moment, he's a hot story, man. And yeah, I would not mind just following him and cheering him on when they're not playing the Lions, or when the Lions aren't playing, I should say. Doug, what do you got? Why don't we survey priorities of draft 24? We have a 1, 2, and 2 3s. Why for player positions? I mean, what I would say for the draft, Doug, what I'm looking at is, I think we're going to have to probably, how I'm working on this first draft, I think we're going to have a pretty good offensive lineman there for us, wherever we pick in the late 20s or 30s or whatever. From there, that's where I think it gets a little bit of a stretch, because I'm not seeing where I'm lining things up where there would be a real impact edge rusher. So do you have to address that in free agency? There will be some pretty good ones in free agency this year. But like I said at the start of the show, I'll try to get a mock draft out to us on the channel, later this week. If I really get things done today, then maybe I can get it out today too. Matthew, what do you got? Morning, guys. Love, let's go Big D. Yep, let's go Big D. Let's get this done. Let's get another win. 2 more wins, and I think we get the division. 3 for sure. Eduardo, our first pick needs to be defense unless we get Josh Allen, Jags, the DT from Baltimore, or some elite pass rushers. The Josh Allen from Jacksonville, that's one of the guys out there in free agency that would intrigue me somewhat. And I would say our draft needs are definitely interior offensive line, edge rusher, cornerback, and then probably just more depth at other spots. Unless they're not seeing enough from, what do I want to say? Hooker, that maybe they feel like they got to do something there too. But I'm going to guess they're not going to get enough times to make any kind of strong determination on Hooker just yet. All right, Sir Richard, greetings and salutations. Same to you. Derek, Coach, why do you think JMO has not been more involved in the offense? That's a good question, man. His targets are really low compared to other receivers in his caliber. I think a lot of it's just the routes they're picking for him. I mentioned it yesterday. So many teams are trying to play over the top man and 2 backers in a spy zone underneath. I'm not sure why you're not using him on more crossing patterns. I can't even think the last time we had 2 or 3 dudes cross over the middle of the field. It's a mystery to me, I guess what I could say, Derek. One, I would think that if they're not going to start opening the playbook to get him or others more involved, I'd have to ask why. And I don't have an easy answer for you or anybody else on that topic. All right, Broski, what do you got? Chumps Genius? Not even close, but all right, fair enough. All right, Eduardo, Denver leads the league in sacks since like week 6, and they blitz a ton. Gonna have another Jared Goff appearance on Saturday. What I would say against blitzing teams usually means you're playing man over the top. I mean, doesn't mean you can't blitz out of a zone, but again, crossing patterns with speed players, maybe like a Jamison Williams or Khalif Raymond or Gibbs, will give that a lot of problems, because you're going to send people, you're going to leave everyone on one-on-one. If they can win at the line, they get separation. Boy, you only have so many guys left in coverage. And of course, it depends on how many people you blitz and where you blitz from. But we'll see what happens. All right, Matthew, Jared Goff, I love it. All right, fair enough. Eduardo, Myles Garrett gonna make Fields his? Yeah, could be. Sean, maybe we'd look different enough for the Cowboys game. Maybe. Maybe we right the ship by then. All right, Eduardo, this is what I want from Saturday. One game where I'm not saying, here comes goofball again. Fair enough. Fair enough, man. Trump, I don't blame you, broski. The Bears stink. I would be here too. Yes, I would concur. Southwest, once you became predictable on both sides of the ball, it's going to be a struggle. That's where we're at for the Lions right now. Both coordinators have been figured out. I'd say there's a ton of truth to that. Sadly, the Broncos should cruise to an easy win. Let's hope not. Let's hope the Lions got something up their sleeve. Eduardo, Denver is also the worst rushing defense league. I totally expect us to go away from the run, just like we did last week. Let's hope they've learned from their mistakes. Eduardo, Goff is not trusting his line, which is leading to him playing scared. I would say there's a lot of truth to that. When you can see a total difference in this offensive line when Jonah Jackson's in and Ragnow's in, among other guys. Once that line's gotten shaky, to your point, Goff's performance has gone down too. Robert, don't forget, Peyton knows Campbell. This is true. Campbell also knows Peyton. Let's see what Dan learned. Ooh, can the apprentice defeat the master? That will be one of the taglines, I'm sure, running around on this one. Southwest Lions, many teams in the NFL are struggling, not just Lions. Lions have 4 weeks to figure it out and turn it around. It needs to start on Saturday. I agree. Yeah. People do figure out your tendencies. People do figure out your desires, what your likes are, your calls, your formations, etc. Now is the time that, as a Lions coach, you've got to learn to counterpunch. Somebody's been popping you in the face. You got to make them pay. You got to catch them off guard. Ed, what do you got? Good morning, Coach. Just been listening. Another great show. Thanks for that, Ed. Hopefully having a good morning, man. Eduardo, there are 1 or 2 plays a game where JMO is wide open. Goff doesn't even look his way. Yeah, that's got to change, because otherwise, why even have him out there or any option out there if you're not going to potentially give it to him? And the defense will figure that out too, by the way, which I'm guessing we all already knew that. Rob, what do you got? Yes, they threw a ton of screens the Bears game. It looked like the Panthers coaches left and came here. Maybe that's true. Trump, run the ball Saturday until Denver stops it. I would agree. Thinking about some old school coaches like, I'm trying to remember. He was a coach at the Cowboys. Then he ended up becoming a head coach, not being that great. But anyways, I can't remember the guy's name. Sorry, but he was the offense coordinator, and one of his big tags was for the Cowboys, we're going to run a play. You can't stop it. We're going to keep running it until you prove you can stop it. And I think that's what most teams should do. They should keep coming out, and you have something that is successful. Keep running. It doesn't mean every play, but keep running until a team proves they are going to shut it down. If they're not shutting it down, you're helping them by not going back to it. All right, Southwest Line, not throwing deep plays right into the hands of teams left on the schedule, especially the Vikings. No throwing deep plays. Yeah, I agree. Brent, how many times has Gibbs and Montgomery been in the backfield together? Any? Not many. There's been a few, but maybe like a handful of time, maybe a baker's dozen over the course of the season. How about this? Just not much. All right, Broski, what do you got? Eduardo O'Neill, Goff, I like that nickname. Goof, yeah, I like that nickname. Chio, I like it. Yep, it happens. All right. Maybe we'll start some T-shirts for that. All right, Rob, what do you got? That's another thing. They stopped running the ball third quarter again. Yeah, they did, 100%. Is Decker hurt? Do you think he plays Saturday? I think he's a little banged up, but I would hope at this point in the year, unless you're really banged up and just not able to go, it's go time. I mean, there is no tomorrow. You've got to get 2 more wins. 3 would be ideal to secure the division. I think it's all hands on deck at this point in the year. All right, Eduardo, JMO and Gibbs need to combine for 15 plus touches a game, yet they're never getting any. I agree. They've got to figure some stuff out to get both those dudes more involved. All right, Dallas has a defense. Yes, it does, and a pretty good one. Eduardo, teams haven't thrown me anything that they can right the ship, especially with Goof. Goff off. They've got to right the ship. They've got to come up with some stuff, but we all get it. We've been talking about it all morning on that. Rafty, what do you got? Goff can't get the ball to JMO off. Goff arm strength has depleted over the last few years. JMO has yet to be thrown the ball in stride once. This is true. At this point, put Bridgewater in if Hooker can't be used. Okay, be used. You can't get Hooker in yet, and he wouldn't be ready. Let's be fair. The kid's only been out there a week or two, and that's nowhere near ready, and that wouldn't be fair to him nor the team. Bridgewater, though, Goff doesn't start performing better. He might be making a case there for that. Broski, the people in Denver sports bars are correct. The Lions are frauds. I would disagree with that because you don't fraudulently win 9 games in the NFL. I mean, I can't think of any game where you're like, wow, they they really got some beneficiary blown call or whatever to win that game, or man, that was a once in a lifetime play that won that game. So yeah, I don't agree with that at all, man. If you've ever coached for any kind of length of time, there's no such thing as a fraudulent win unless something just really over the top happens where, the referee got knocked down. It's the WWE, and then the other guy hits somebody over the head with a steel chair. That's a disservice to any professional or collegiate or high school team when people say they're frauds or whatever. Because you know what? There's a whole lot of teams in this league in the NFL that would love to be 9 wins, and they're not. So I guess you could call them fraudulent losers then. Is that the counterpoint, I guess? I don't know. Eduardo, it's crazy that the Lions, Green Bay, and Chicago all have around the same age for defense, average of 26 years, and the Lions have the worst. One almost like coaching matters. There's a lot of things that come into play. The talent is a big part of it. This defense would be, I think, it wouldn't be great, but I think it would be much better if you had some guys back. They have not done a great service, in my thought, to any of the defensive personnel by not trying to acquire more talent. And whether that's free agency or the draft or the trade or whatever, ultimately you have to work with what you got. I'm not going to say I'm going to defend Aaron Glenn because I'm not going to. I just think there's a accumulation of reasons why this defense isn't good. And some of it is coaching, some of it is the players, some of it is the front office of our team. But I will also say I think we're still in the rebuilding stages. We're just really doing well last year and this year while rebuilding. All right, Rob, what do you got? Lions are regressing while other teams are improving. They seem lethargic. They do. And that's what happens when you get figured out and when you get worn down and beat up and you don't have great depth. So there's a lot of reasons in play. They've got to, doesn't matter what's happened in the past. So you got 4 games left in the regular season. You got to go out there and perform, and you got to get some wins. All right, Southwest, I read a story yesterday that Decker may have a back injury. They need to go to 2 back sets, take pressure off Goff, not only Goff, but the offensive line. You can still throw deep in that formation. Yeah, they can. And he's dealing with injuries. At this point in the year, there ain't going to be many players, especially on a full impact position like the offensive line or defensive line, that aren't beat up. What they put their bodies through on a daily basis or a game basis is incredible. And they're all walking wounded at this point. Eduardo, we need to move Sewell to LT already. Anyways, I think in the offseason, there could be a real possibility that happens. And if that happens, I think Decker's time here in Detroit's probably over. But how much can you replace in one season? If you're going to do that and replace Decker, there's a real chance you're replacing Ragnow. You're going to have to go all in on re-signing Jonah Jackson, because I just don't think you'll be highly effective trying to replace 3 guys on your offensive line, maybe even 4, because Big V is going to be gone. Michael, what do you got? We were 8-2, and now we are happy with 2-2. The trend is your friend. It is. I'm not. I'm just saying losses happen over the course of a season. If you go undefeated, that means you didn't play anybody who could fight back, and the Lions are struggling. I don't think anybody discredits that. They're struggling. They've been figured out schematically in a few ways, and they're a little beat up. Not good combinations, but you know what? You got to move forward. Like I said earlier in the show, 49ers lost 3 games in a row. Now they've righted the ship, though. Other teams, Miami Dolphins, they lost. And again, I don't remember offhand who they lost to Sunday, but it was somebody that only got their 4th win. You're going to have to move on and move forward. And, that Kansas City, they're defending Super Bowl champs, and they've lost a couple of games now where nobody probably guessed at the start of the year they would have done it. But being that May, nobody cares. You got to step in the next game ready to go. Nobody cares about your past. They're worried about them. All right. One funky Southwest, like Goff would ever throw deep. Yes, there's growing concerns with his ability to throw deep. All right. Eduardo, decisions that DC has made have been questionable, and he has cost us more than 1 game every year, including this one. I would say this. I can remember last year, the one I think it was at Minnesota. Yeah, some of his play calls were not ideal. And then this year, I would say there's been a few that he's impacted with coaching decisions for sure. All right, guys, I'm going to get going a little early today. Sorry about that I couldn't get more in the chat. But like I said, the internet's out, so I'm using everything on my phone. I got to get that fixed for work reasons. Excuse me. So I'm going to have to cut it off a little bit early so I can get everything hopefully fixed before my work day begins. Hope you all have a good one. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that final push for 4,800 and then 5,000. Also, if you would, hit that thumbs up button. If there is some sort of breaking news later today, I'll try to get it onto the mic as fast as I can to you guys. But otherwise, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.